Hello.
Good morning, everyone. So everyone, I wanted to welcome you to our deep dive discussion today on donor gratitude. This is Rick Tonkinson with Rick Tonkinson Financials, and he will be hosting our discussion today. Enjoy.
Thank you for having me.
Rick, whenever you're ready for your discussion, go right ahead. Yeah, no worries, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I was going to say, Kayla, thank you. Laura, thank you. I've actually spoken to the organization before. My wife and I were interviewed at the ARST Center when you folks, before the virus, would get together and have about 80 people in the room from different charities. And it's always been a pleasure to be able to come back. Thank you for allowing me to share with you some thoughts that I think you'll find useful. And before I start, I may be touching on topics that you folks may want to talk to me after our conversation. And I'm going to give you my cell phone. My cell phone is 305-205-4036. Again, 305-205-4036. This is my cell phone, so you can call me virtually at any time, weekends, after hours, whatever is to your convenience, because I would be more than happy to talk to your individual organization and work around your schedule. We could either do it through Zoom or in person, whatever you feel comfortable. The other housekeeping item I would like to share with you is that I am part of a foundation. We have a family foundation. It's called the Tonkinson Foundation. That's easy, right? Tonkinson. And I invite you to see our webpage. You will find the different charities that we support, including arts, medical research, education, the environment. We support around 40 charities in the local community. And we have done so for several years. And I just wanted to let you know that we are available to talk on a variety of different topics. And I think our topic today is to talk about donor gratitude, right? I have a dear friend named Robin, who he himself has his own family foundation, and he's very active in the YMCA, been very active in Rotary. And one thing he said to me when you're talking to donors is that you thank them and you thank them and you thank them again. Okay. Don't get tired of saying thanks. Big or small, it's nice to be appreciated. And it's, I think what does it take to say thank you? It goes a long way to know that you're appreciated, right? In what's been going on with the pandemic, I want to say that we all realize that we have had to curtail our events, galas, dinners, fundraisers. It's been a real struggle. And I wanted to let you know right off the bat that at least for us, my wife, Margarita, Stephen, and I have maintained our 2019 donor contribution the same during 2020, even though there was no gala or events or fundraising activity going on. We decided to maintain the same level of contribution to these organizations. Why? Because you need it, okay? And that's one thing that I have tried my very best to do, was to encourage others that have foundations to continue to maintain their level of support. And obviously everybody's financial situation is different, right? And so for those people that are not as financially secure, but they still would like to give to your organization, okay, whatever they are comfortable giving, obviously it's going to be appreciated. And obviously the topic with the virus has been not only actual dollars going to the charity, but indirect gifts. And I wanted to say that we try to do this ourselves. And one of the things that my son does, he's active in the Special Olympics. He's a paddleboard instructor he has a paddleboard team for Special Olympics. And he's been volunteering with that for about 6 years. And our family foundation decided to help out a local merchant called Adventure Sports in Coconut Grove, and bought the 7 paddle boards that were needed, because for about 5 years they were borrowing paddle boards wherever they could find them. And we decided, no, let's get the equipment for the people and get a trailer and have a trailer with the paddle boards in it. And it's the team's own equipment. We decided to donate that, but we actually donated it through a local merchant here in town. Talking a little bit more about Steven, my son, for his 40th birthday, okay, we decided to rent the 3rd floor of Shake a Leg. Shake a Leg has a building over there on South Bay Shore Drive in Coconut Grove, and you can rent it out. And for some of your charities that have facilities, I think the idea of perhaps renting out your space could be helpful. So to celebrate my son's 40th birthday, we rented out the 3rd floor of the Shake a Leg building, and we had a really good time. The other thing I was going to share with you in terms of being supportive of local merchants, obviously with organizations like the Chapman Partnership, you can give indirect gifts such as clothing. With the virus, my wife and I emptied out our wardrobe and did a little spring cleaning, and then who were the beneficiaries of that was Chapman Partnership. And the other thing I was going to share with you is that something that I came across recently in terms of volunteer. Okay, there's an organization called Independent Sector. It's like a tracking service. And I don't know if you're aware of it, so I think you might benefit from knowing this, is that this organization actually puts a dollar value on volunteer time. What I'm trying to say is that the current value of 1 hour of volunteer work is now currently valued at $27.20 an hour. Okay. Now, this is important because if you could keep a tally of the number of volunteer hours you have, and you multiply it by $27.20 an hour, you're getting an idea of what the financial benefit, economic benefit is of those volunteers. I just learned that. I didn't realize that. And my son with his paddleboard work, and my wife at the Daring Bay estate, she does volunteering there. And she's also been a volunteer as an advisor to branches. Branches, of course, helps small business owners and have people become successful in running a business. My wife volunteers at branches, and I've volunteer at SCORE. The SBA, Small Business Administration, has workshops through SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. And at different libraries around town for many, many years, they teach people how to be a successful business owner. And I basically taught the class for finance and business plans. And by the way, I have a master's degree in public administration with a focus on budgets and cash flow, in addition to a master's degree in business administration. And I would like to share with you is that if you ever need to have me chat with you about best business practices with a nonprofit organization, I'm available. I have a master's degree in that. And so I come to find out, if you add up all our volunteer time, it probably adds up to well in excess of $10,000 a year, in addition to our financial monetary contribution to the different charities that we support. By the way, before I forget, okay, a lot of people hire CEOs for charities from the private sector, but you don't hear too much about executive directors of charities being hired by the private sector. I am happy to let you know that I have been a part of the Woody Foundation, as well as my son. The Woody Foundation's mission is to help people that have become paralyzed with spinal cord injuries, and they've raised significant money for Shake a Leg, the Jackson Rehab Center, and also Bonacani, Trailer Paralysis Project, right? Well, as of September, I hired Lucy Forrester, who's the executive director of the Woody Foundation, to work with me. I hired someone from the nonprofit sector to go into the private sector. The good news is that she didn't have to give up her leadership position at the Woody Foundation. She's still the executive director of the Woody Foundation. But I'm a great believer in partnerships between the private sector and the public sector. And I'll be quite honest with you, I encourage people to look for those partnerships. The other thing I was going to share with you is that in reference to the opportunity of trying to help encourage giving to the charities, right? One, again, it's word of mouth. Now, one of the things that I think that I would encourage you, all of you, is to take a look at your donors and find out how many of them I would consider to be a cheerleader, okay? Look for your cheerleaders in your donor base that are willing to pick up the phone, do a Zoom meeting, or just say hello to their friends and say, hey, I'm supporting the Red Cross, and this is why. I'm supporting FIU, and this is why. I'm supporting the Lighthouse for the Blind, and this is why. As a donor, you get a lot of credibility telling another potential owner why you have invested your money in that particular organization. In other words, instead of the development people at the charities trying to do phone calls for solicitation, try to find those people that are already on your side, okay, to encourage other people to be generous. One of the best ambassadors that I know of in town is Trish Bell. Trish Bell with Chapman Partnership, you name it, branches and other organizations. She is not afraid to say what she has done on behalf of that organization, with the hope that she would lead by example. Now, you don't have to be an A-class donor. Okay, you can do it with your B level donors, C level donors. Okay, those people that can give you $1,000 a year, that's perfectly, because they have other friends that can give you similar contributions. Okay, and so the long and short of it is that even though we try to, I shouldn't say it, but profile or rank, okay, donors by level of contribution, right? I would say that you don't have to have your big kahunas, okay, trying to solicit their friends for your charity. It can be done with other people that are paycheck to paycheck, Okay. And I really do believe in that. The other thing I was going to share with you is that Amazon Smile, okay? You may or may not be aware of it, okay? To be quite honest with you, my wife is the one who buys everything on Amazon. I don't. So Amazon Smile, I come to find out, is that you can perhaps have your charity linked with them. And by using Amazon Smile, you can select an organization to receive 0.5% or 0.05% of the purchase total can go to your charity. Now, I'm part of the Diabetes Research Institute, and they're linked with Amazon, as well as several of the other charities that we support. Now, the other thing I was going to share with you is that with your donor base, right, I would encourage you to find people that perhaps would have a skill set that would be useful for your organization. And this could be in the area of the arts, communication, marketing, someone that has a skill that would, with their help, their volunteer work, their volunteer time can provide you some great implementation of their skills. To be quite honest with you, that's why I hired Lucy, okay, to be a part of my team, because I really needed someone in the area of marketing and client relations, okay, and she's wonderful at it, okay. So like I say, not only look for the checkbook for your donors, but look for what skills they've got that would be able to give back to your organization. Now, in order to say thank you to people, right? The interesting part of it is that I'm very old school, okay? I think I'm the last guy on the face of the earth that ever did text messaging and emails, okay? That's how I'm not a heavy tech guy, although our entire office is state of the art with the money that we manage, right? But the long and short of it is that a handwritten note, okay, goes a long way just to say thank you. And we're doing that currently for the police and firefighters, and that just to say thank you for their service to the community. And we give them a thank you with a handwritten note. Obviously, phone calls goes a long way. But here's an idea that Lucy actually came up with, and I don't know if you've thought about it, but it's something to consider, is try to have a virtual coffee meeting with somebody. In other words, send them a gift card, right, for $5 from a local coffee shop, right? And with that, invite them to a Zoom encounter, just chit chat, all right? And just have a cup of coffee for a few minutes with that person. And by the way, I have come to find out, going back to the volunteer work, that UPS, right, for their employees that volunteer time to any organization, UPS will actually put the $27.20 for each hour that one of their employees donates to the charity. So think about that, okay? Is that here's a major organization that is not only allowing their employees to do their volunteer work, which is, of course, they're free to do that, but once they know that there's volunteers that are giving to certain organizations, they're actually matching it with money, okay, for each hour that their employee gives to that specific charity. That I find to be encouraging. I really do. I find that to be encouraging to be able to be that supportive, and it creates a culture. It creates a giving culture. Going back to Lucy with the Woody Foundation, On December 12th in Coconut Grove at Barracuda, which is a restaurant that you might know about, they're having the Woody stock, like you know, Woodstock. They turned it into Woody. Okay, and the Woody stock is on December 12th, and the whole purpose of this thing, okay, is to thank the donors. It's free, okay, and it's an opportunity for the donors that have supported other events for the Woody Foundation throughout the year, right, to come on over, have a meal, have a drink, listen to some music, and it's their way of saying thank you. Runs from like maybe 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, okay? But talk about the opportunity to be giving donors the opportunity to say thank you for their prior contributions. I would encourage you to look at the Woody Foundation, right, their webpage, and the Woody stock as an example of saying, hey, you might want to consider that. By the way, another item that I want to share with you is that last Saturday night, my wife and I were invited to a wonderful dinner, okay? And it was the Coral Gables Community Foundation, right, that actually did their gala, right, in the homes of 34 host families, and they had small groups of about 8 in each dinner. And the people that were there were not asked to donate. Of course, they've been donating throughout the year, but they had a very nice prepared dinner, right, at someone's home. And it was just a nice, wonderful evening. Okay. And I encourage the DRI is doing they have a famous event called Out of the Kitchen, which is for April 25th. It's usually at the St. Regis Hotel in Miami Beach, but because of the virus, they're breaking it up into homes. And what they did for the Coral Gables Foundation, it's in a similar way. The Diabetes Research Institute is going to go be doing that. Now, it's a way of saying thank you to the donors, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to motivate people to contribute. Because what it does bring in is new people, and it's a great way to expand your donor base by having these kind of events that are in small group gatherings. The fellowship is marvelous. By the way, that brings up a point: is that one of the things that's motivated me over the years to do the contributions that we do are you. In other words, it's your passion, okay, in your particular organization that motivates me as a donor to want to give, okay? My best friends, okay, are somehow linked to a charity, and it's about a 20-year friendship that we've created, and if we know that they're involved with a particular charity and we like them as a person, we will probably try to contribute because we like that person and we feel that they're doing good work in that particular area. I know I've covered some items and I know I've spoken for 20 minutes. If you don't mind, I could open it up for questions at this point. And I once again, before I forget, my cell phone again, 305-205-4036. Just consider me available to talk to your particular organization, because I realize that this is a grouping of several organizations, and I'm available to talk to your particular group, and it's just an open invitation. But I'd like to open it up to a question and answer. I see a lot of mutes. Anyone have a particular question that they might have that I can help them with?
I can't tell you I have a question, but I have a thank you. How's
Oh,
that? No, it's just, I apologize. I'm not feeling very well today. But it's just a nice reminder to hear these things, because, you know, you plow through and you plow through and you plow through, and every once in a while just to be reminded of the things that you kind of know, but you don't really think about knowing. I appreciate your time, and I do appreciate your generosity. As my brain starts thinking, I promise to reach out to you with questions.
by the way, you know, there are people like Trish Bell and John Batchelor and, you know, these A-tier major donors. They are such an inspiration for me. I think I got involved with branches because of Trish Bell. I got involved with Chapman Partnership because of Dale Webb. You know, I got involved with FIU for Brian Schreiner and Howard Lipman. You know, in other words, I think of the people that are there before I think of the organization. Yes, the organizations that they're involved with are doing great work, but I'd have to say is that it's you're attracted to the wonderful people that I would normally not meet. So that you know, have been a financial money manager for 30 years, and I deal with my clients, you know, obviously most of the time, and reaching out to the charities allows me to meet people that I would normally not meet. Okay, artists, musicians, people that, you know, we run in different parallel courses. We don't intersect. Okay,
Hello.
and I'd have to say is that for me,
Fine, Jay. How are you? Yeah,
it's
I got you.
good to do that.
Good, good.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I feel that way. It's interesting because I feel that way about my work, because we support education and teachers. And to be able to go into the classroom with these teachers right now and be part of their struggle and be part of their world, since I no longer have a school-age child, it's that similar type of feeling. But it is a good reminder. We all want to connect, and
Right.
It's giving that opportunity to connect. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'd have to say is that the great majority of the donors are naturally givers. Okay, they're not going to stop giving because of a virus. They still want to continue to give. Okay, and I'd have to say is that your core of donors are still there to support you, even though there's not a golf tournament to go to or some event to participate in. I'd say that that's obviously going back to them to say thank you for doing that, because this is when we need you the most. Yes.
And would you, I mean, everybody has busy lives. Would you
Right.
shoot them an email and say, like you said about the coffee, you know, it would be great. When it's good for us to have a chat, just do it as opposed to just pick up the phone. Do you
Right.
feel like it's better to have that email first that just says, hey, would love to talk?
That, you know, I like the idea, and I have experienced this. The $5, you know, here's the gift certificate to get a cup of coffee. You know, it's kind of fun to be able to send it out, and then with an email. In my mind, I live with the emails to say, hey, are you available next Tuesday at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock to chat with me for a few minutes?
Okay.
I work very closely with Jill Shapiro at the DRI. She's been there for 35 years, and she can reach me like that. So to answer your question, I would say email is obviously very efficient. Okay, but if you know the person's cell phone, like I gave to you, just pick up the phone and they'll be happy that they heard from you.
Okay. All right. They can always choose not to answer, right?
It really depends. You know, I would say that people my age are more phone call people. And I would say that people that are under 40, okay, or maybe even under 50, might be more on the email side of it. But I would say anybody 60 years old, okay, would probably appreciate the old way of hello, give me a ring.
Okay, thank you.
My
So Rick,
question
we have a few questions. Vivian wanted to go ahead.
Yeah. My question is about because I have it for the first year, 3 donors, individuals, and they always ask me the tax return, because some of them, they have higher income taxes, and they like to know how much is the return if they invest in a nonprofit organization, like in the tax, return.
You're talking about the tax return of the company?
Yes. No. I have a nonprofit organization, and my donors always ask me because the 501c3 is supposed to have send a letter in the end of the year to them saying, "Oh, you invest $10,000, invest $30,000, but the $30,000, how much is 35%, 20%?" It's very tricky. I don't know what to answer them. Depends how much they pay.
You're bringing up the charitable contributions that are permitted depending on the type of organization that you're giving to. That is absolutely totally correct, and I could provide you that. Send me your email, and I'll give you the information related to what's a 35% contribution donation versus a 50% contribution. But let me give you what I did for myself. Okay, I give a large 25% of my gross income goes to Tonkinson Foundation. I believe in tithing, but for the last 10 years, 25% of my gross income before tax goes to my foundation. My foundation has a tax ID, and I can give one big check to the Tonkinson Foundation, and it's a 100% tax deduction. Okay, this is something to consider. In fact, actually, you might want to consider this with your donor base, to have them consider creating a private family foundation, because all the money that you've put towards that family foundation is a 100% tax deduction from my personal income tax return. The 25% of my income to the foundation is a complete write-off to that. And then from there, from the Tonkinson Foundation, we give it to all these other charities that I've been talking about. So I would encourage your organization that if you have donors that think that they would perhaps benefit from a 100% tax write-off rather than a partial write-off, have them consider a family foundation. And by the way,
one of them, they were, Garcia Family Foundation. One of them, yes, Garcia Family Foundation in New York. They are foundation. The foundation gave us the support.
Right. And I was going to say is that you don't have to be rich to have a family foundation. Middle-class people, I think, would benefit from having a family foundation. You don't have to be seriously rich and famous to have to create a foundation. Actually, you'd be surprised how affordable and easy it is to set up a family foundation. By the way, may I offer a suggestion? Okay, Mary Snow, okay, at the Community Foundation of Coral Gables, does the bookkeeping for 48 family foundations. So Mary Snow is a good person to know, because she knows of 48 families that give money away, and they may be interested in donating to your organization. Okay, now what they do is a bookkeeping service for the family foundations, but she's going to know where those checks are going, and that's something that I would have you perhaps explore. The other thing that I would like to share with you is I'm an old trust officer at banks. Now, this is crazy, but the charities do not approach the trust departments like Northern Trust or Mellon or Bessemer or SunTrust or what have you. What they need to do, I would suggest that they do, is contact the trust departments because those trust administrators know what charitable contributions their clients are giving. And this is the reason why I say this. Many times, believe it or not, these same clients of these major banks do not know where to put the money. It's incredible. They have the money, but they haven't been given the mission statement of your charity to know about who you are. And one of the biggest problems I think charities and nonprofits have in general is a complete lack of awareness that you guys do what you do. This is incredible. Even things like the Red Cross and the Diabetes Research Institute or what have you, YMCA, Lighthouse for the Blind, you name it, is that there are a lot of people that are not aware of who you are, and perhaps if they know who you are, they would like to give you a check. And so where I would go back to are those bookkeepers that manage the foundations. Go back to the trust officers at the banks and say, this is who we are. Perhaps you know somebody who would be interested in it. Okay. I would say that that's just a way of just saying who you are. And by the way, I go back to my old Coca-Cola story. You know, everybody knows about Coca-Cola, right? It's been around for over 100 years, right? I don't know if you know it, but Coca-Cola has a mission to remind people every 15 minutes to buy Coca-Cola. In some way, they're going to try to remind you that you should buy a Coca-Cola. Okay, it's almost like a constant contact kind of approach. But what I'm trying to say here is that you might think, oh, you know, we've been around, like the Lighthouse for the Blind's been around for 80 years, right? I promise you, people do not know the Lighthouse for the Blind, even though they've been around for 80 years, right? You know, this is what I'm trying to say. Don't think that if your organization has been around for 40 or 50 years, people know who you are. No, they don't, okay? And I would encourage you to let people just say, this is who we are. You'll be surprised what kind of results you can get from that.
Hi, Rick. So we have another question from Mirna. She says, my organization, the South Florida Chamber Ensemble, is a small organization. We have just gotten our first set of donors during the pandemic, even though we are going into our 10th year. Do you have any suggestions for going after donors when we are so small, but we might have a mightier reach than our size suggests?
Sure. Again, I believe that, let me share with you the way I see it. People give to an illness that one of their immediate family members are dealing with, or if it has to do something related to, so in other words, when you talk about special needs, it's because someone in the family has special needs, or if someone's diabetic, then they get involved with the Diabetes Research Institute. The big or small, right? I would say that each organization has a unique item that separates them from the rest of the other organizations that are out there. And so I appreciate your thought on that. But and I agree with it, is that the smaller organizations need to not be afraid. There you go. Don't hedge your bet. Don't feel like, oh, they're going to automatically say no because we're too small to be considered. The answer to that is that don't assume that. But by the way, I don't know if you folks have done this with your database, but there's it's public record of all the family foundations that, because we have to be registered with the federal government and we have our own tax ID number, right? In Dade County, I think there's no less than about 3,000 family foundations. Okay, I mean, it's a huge amount of people, and it's all public record. But all I'm saying is that you will find many times on their profile the different areas of interest that they have: arts, music, environment, you name it. And you can, through different filtering, you can perhaps find potential people that might be interested in what you do. That's just a suggestion. But I'd say that you're one of the things that people are attracted to is a well-run organization. The Charitable Navigator, okay, is one of those ranking organizations, and not everybody is a 4-star like the Lighthouse for the Blind or the University of Miami. But if you have a way of showing credibility in your organization, big or small, okay, I would encourage you to let people know that. Okay, if you are mentioned in somehow some sort of tracking service, okay, the Lighthouse for the Blind, the first thing that they say in front of a luncheon is we're 4-star ranked by Charitable Navigator. It goes a long way in creating the credibility that says that we're a well-run organization. That's something that donors are very sensitive to, especially people from the private sector. People want to see that their dollars are being well used. And if you can let them know how well used your money is going to be spent, okay, it really has them buy into what you're doing.
Rick, hi, my name is Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Your presentation is like literally off the charts. So thank you so much for spending such quality time with us and sharing your wisdom. It's really absolutely fantastic. I just want to learn a little bit more in terms of the difference between a family foundation and the role of the family and a donor designated fund that is managed by a financial planner.
Perfect.
Can you share that? Thank you.
Thank you. I actually did both. Fidelity and Vanguard have these ways where you can create a charitable fund. And usually the Fidelities and Vanguards have a relatively small minimum to create this kind of account. Gary, great question. Fidelity had a $10,000 minimum to open up an account, and Vanguard, I think, was at $25,000 to create a donor advised fund through one of these mutual fund companies. What happens is that this can be a 100% charitable contribution. It's an irrevocable gift that you're doing with Fidelity at $10,000. And then what happens is that from there, you would write grants. There's a form that you sign and you write to Fidelity saying, please give $1,000 to this charity. And they want by the way, they want the tax ID number of the charity because they won't give it out unless they have a tax ID number, right? But the beauty of it is that within Fidelity, you can pick mutual funds that you like. If within Vanguard, you can do mutual funds that you like, right? But the actual disbursement of the check, right? The actual release of the money comes from either Fidelity or Vanguard in that case. When you have a family foundation, right, you got to find an executive director. And so what happens is that in my case, Margarita, my wife, is the executive director of Tonkinson Foundation. And last night she cut about 15 checks, right? She writes the checks, right? She's got the authorization to sign the check and send it to the different organizations, right? So when you have a family foundation, it's really run by a mom and pop. Okay, in other words, now this brings up a great point. And by the way, I encourage everyone to listen to this, because I will tell you that most of the people that I know, that you know, okay, get approached and solicited no less than 50 times a day, right? Martha Weeks, okay, is a friend of mine, great donor to the University of Miami, right? Martha Weeks told me once, Rick, it gets impossible to respond to 50 requests a day. So I have to find a private secretary to handle this. I'm 90 years old and I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to go find someone who's going to basically be my administrator, right? So when the family foundation is big enough, they find these private secretaries, right? Personal secretaries to do the administration of cutting the check, doing the accounting, doing the tax return. Okay, it's to answer your question, Gary, it's in-house. Okay, now this brings up two different points. You cannot reach Marta Weeks, right? But you might be able to reach Virginia, her personal secretary, and say, hi, would like to maybe just send you some information, not for Martha to read, but for you to read. And maybe if you're interested, you might want to give it to Martha. Try to approach the personal secretaries of these people, because you're not going to get the donor, okay? Because they're basically are numb to how many solicitations they get, okay? So what happens is, the other thing is that with family foundations, right, you get the next generation, right? You may not be able to get Nancy and John Batchelor because you can't touch them, right? But you might be able to talk to their kids. Or Amanda Cadina's the same way, right? I'm talking about anybody that's in the A list. You're not going to get them, right? But you could approach them through their children, and their children may have an interest in your charity. In other words, don't focus on the mom and dad, focus on the kids, okay? Because I think the kids are going to be a little bit more open-minded, and maybe they might want to pursue an activity that I'm not interested in, or let's just say that I'm not passionate about. Let me give you a good example of my son, Steven. Special Olympics, right? The Underline with Meg Daly. Everybody knows Meg Daly, right? Okay, Steven's involved with that, right? And then he got involved with Shelter Box, which is a first responder group. And I highly recommend, if anybody has time, look at Shelter Box, okay? Goes around the world, rebuilding villages around the world. And my son went from volunteer to board of director of Shelter Box, but it's an incredible organization. But he started out as a volunteer, and now he's on the board of directors, right? All I'm saying here is that Stephen got involved with items that I didn't know about. And to be quite honest with you, it wasn't a top priority, okay? I'm diabetic. So for me, a good chunk of my money is going towards diabetes research with the Diabetes Research Foundation. And I'm on the national board. I'm the treasurer of that foundation. It's $33 million that we manage. Okay, it's a good size charity. It's linked to the University of Miami, and it's been for 40 years trying to find a cure for diabetes. All I'm saying to you is that for people my age, we may not be that willing to listen to another organization, but the next generation is definitely going to be more receptive. I hope I helped you with that, Gary.
Yes, very much so, Rick. Thanks so much. Can you also just go back for a second and give the source for that value of the volunteer of $27.20?
Yes.
I think it's a fabulous
Gary, thank
information. It's great.
The person who gets credit for this is Lucy Forrester. Okay, a lot of people know Lucy. She's an enjoyable person, and she's just friends with everybody. But it comes from her. It's called Independent sector. To be honest with you, as of today, this morning, I had never heard of it.
Wow.
Right? I've been volunteering for years, and I never knew that there was a dollar amount attached to each volunteer, every hour I donated or volunteered. Okay, you as the charity can say that's the financial benefit that you got from that hour, right? By the way, the only downside to that, Gary, is that I can't put it down as a tax deduction on my tax return. I can't say $10,000 of volunteer time to reduce my taxes. I don't get any benefit from that whatsoever. Okay, but yeah, I would welcome, and I hope everybody uses that, because you can actually use that in your reports. If you have, say, 1,000 hours of people, then you're looking at what? $27,000 worth of a financial benefit that you got from your volunteers. Think of incredible organizations like Fairchild Tropical Gardens. They have got an incredible volunteer group that I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that volunteer group is for Fairchild Tropical Gardens. It's just mind-boggling to think about that. But yeah, I just learned that myself.
Thank you.
I put it in the chat. Weren't we used to be able to deduct mileage to volunteer hours before? Did that stop?
Say again, please.
Wasn't it that they used to be able to deduct the mileage to go to volunteer hours?
You know, that's interesting. You know, it's interesting. I know for business, private sector, we're able to get, you know, I haven't done it in a long time. But yeah, it used to be pretty generous. I think it was like 50 cents a mile or something. I think it's even higher than that now. But for every mile you were driving to a destination, you could take it as a business expense, and it would be a tax write-off for me. But to be honest with you, Karen, I'm not sure how it works with the nonprofits on that. I want to make sure you know that I'm not a CPA. I'm not an accountant. I make money for people. I manage money. Okay. But basically what I do for a living is to take care of the regular people, make sure that they don't go broke.
So, I mean, going back to your Coca-Cola, so you feel like you can't over bother people?
No.
Okay. All right. I need to frame that.
Now, Karen, I'll share with you. The only thing I can say to you on that is put some variety in it. You can't put your message and repeat it until the point that they already know the message before they hear it. What Coca-Cola does is that they do it in very subtle ways. They'll put the sign somewhere, or they'll put the polar bear somewhere, or I don't know. But it's incredible to me to think that here's something that's crazy. The value of Coca-Cola as a name, right, is more valuable than every bottling company, any truck they own, any manufacturing of Coca-Cola, right? You could get rid of all of it, right? And in 6 months, just 6 months, with just the name Coca-Cola, you could rebuild the company just the way it was. And you're back with all the facilities, all the power, with all the plants. The power of a name, okay, is so strong that it's actually of greater value than the actual inventory and the assets of the company. By the way, another company that has that name recognition, of course, is Amazon. Okay, yeah. You know, there are certain names that will by itself generate income, generate money. Think of that in your particular case. Is there a way that your name could be that built up to be that strong that people would naturally give it to you, even if you had no office, no staff, nothing? Okay. And you know, there are companies like I'd have to say American Red Cross is probably one of them. And there's a few others, but there aren't that many that can actually do that, if you know what I mean. But one thing, oh, by the way, one thing I really would encourage everybody, and we could explore this at another session, is strengths and weaknesses of your organization. I refer to it as scouting. You're going to survey and look at the horizon and know what's an opportunity for you and what's a threat. Okay, what is going to be negative for your organization as well as a positive? Once you identify the negatives, you try your very best to have a strategic plan that will minimize the damage to your organization. And if you have opportunities, right, if you have opportunities, then you take advantage of them, and you really try to become known in that particular area. Okay, and they refer to that as niche marketing, to be honest with you. But I would say that that's probably another worthy topic that I would be willing to chat about in another opportunity.
That's been COVID for us, that's for sure.
Rick, I think if you also expand that concept in terms of brand recognition, you could do that in terms of donors as well. If you have a particular donor that's associated with your nonprofit organization, it goes that much further. It goes back to what you were saying before in terms of I'm supporting X organization and this is why I'm doing it. It creates that brand. Hey, such and such is associated with, and I believe it goes that much further.
May I offer a suggestion? You may have donors that are dentists, doctors, people that have businesses and practices, lawyers as donors. You may ask them, perhaps as a way of being grateful for their clients, to perhaps make a donation to your charity. This is exactly what we did when people were with us. I've been in business for 30 years, but anyone past 10 years with us, right? We gave them a Yeti tumbler. Okay, and a lot of people like Yeti tumblers, right? Okay, and in addition to that, we said we would give $50 to the charity of their choice, right? Now remember, I've got 1,700 clients, right? Let's say 500 of them at least, okay, are at 10 years or more, right? So 500 clients times $50 is $25,000. And what we did is we wrote them a handwritten note. Remember, handwritten note. Thank your client for handwritten note to say thank you. Here's our way of saying thank you for being with us. Here's a Yeti tumbler. In addition, we're going to give $50 to the charity of your choice. Okay, and we did. It was their charity of choice. Now here I am, a money manager, thanking my clients for being with me. But the same idea can be used for any donor you have, right? That has a client base, right? And if he's so motivated, saying, thank you for being a client, I'll give $50 to this particular charity to say, thank you, just thank you. Okay, by the way, you know what was interesting? The response, I have a lot of clients, okay, and they're spread out throughout the whole USA, right? About 30% of all the donations went to St. Jude Hospital. Okay, you name it, you name this, whether it's Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, Texas, New York, California, I'd say, hey, Joe, you got a charity that you like? Yeah, St. Jude. Okay, it was incredible. Across the country, okay, the regular folks, middle-class people, when they think of a charity and they've got $50 to spend, it'll go to St. Jude. Now I find that to be, and there were a lot of local charities, right? Okay, a lot of people were with churches and animal rescue and you know, different items like that. But it was interesting. So I would say take a look at your donors and see if anybody's willing to write a letter to their buddies thanking them for being clients, and then their way of saying thank you is to give money to you. And it works. I promise you it works.
Happy what you're saying, Rick, in terms of it's not just local Miami-Dade, but it's also you branch out to other states and so on, because the impact goes that much further. It's like a ripple effect. It's fantastic.
Right. You know, I have seen organizations just really been very, very well run over the years. I would say that I thank everyone for, it's 11 o'clock. I didn't realize that I've been talking for about an hour. So I apologize for going over time. Again, my cell phone is 305-205-4036. Give me a ring anytime. Please check out Tonkinson Financial. That's our webpage, but also Tonkinson Foundation. You'll get an idea of what a family foundation looks like. And actually, if anybody is interested in creating a family foundation, I'll let them know how we did it. I'll let them know how we run it. And by the way, you're going to love this one. My wife is highly compensated as an executive director. She gets $0 a year, not even $1. Okay, my wife gets 10, okay, for her work running the foundation, right? Because we want all the money to go to the charities and not to administrative expenses, right? And you'll find out that a lot of the family foundations are like that. Now, you always hear about people that have their family foundation and they give themselves these incredibly large salaries and perks, and they just, you know, they're abusive of the organization. We don't do that. I honestly will tell you that we don't do that. Nobody gets compensated here at the administrative side of Tonkinson Foundation, and we're proud of it. So if it's okay with you, if you remember, you can give me a call. I know I've spent an hour with you, and I'm willing to chat with you guys again on different topics. Just let me know, okay?
Thank you. It's a wonderful way to spend the day.
Thank you. I hope you got something out of it. You all take care, okay?
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice seeing everybody. Nice
Bye.
seeing
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.